All right. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and salutations to all the Akim across the four corners of the earth, trying their best to do the will of the Lord in sincerity, righteousness, and in truth. All right. Keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, putting in the works, doing sit downs, going to camp. All right. Being brotherly. All right. Week in and week out, man, to the best of their ability. All right. As you should know, we're supposed to be in the Feast of Dedication, all right? And I was just reading the history, the first 4 chapters of the first Maccabees, all right? And the Spirit hit me to do a sit down on how we being the Israelites, 12 tribes of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Native American Indians, how we supposed to be in a state of mourning right now, all right? And we're supposed to be in a warlike state of mind also, all right? The same state of mind that Mattathias and Judas Maccabees and all those that was a part of the rebellion against the Greeks when they was trying to Hellenize our people in the ancient days, all right? We supposed to be in the same spirit as them, all right? Because the same things that was going on then is the same things that's going on now, and the same things that's gonna be that we gonna be going through in the time of Jacob's trouble. All right, when martial law is implemented and they try to get us, when they trying to chip the people, when the chip is made mandatory, which is the mark of the beast according to the scriptures, when the mark of the beast is made mandatory, all right, when it reaches to the point where no man will be able to buy or sell unless they had that chip, all right. That's the same. The times that we about to live, the times of the Maccabees, all right, the times of the Feast of Dedication, where the history of where that came from is a reflection of the times that we are living in now, and the times that we are about to enter into. All right. So I'm gonna get into it. This is First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 45. It says, now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness, right? Because this was when Judas Maccabees was when they had their eyes on Jerusalem, had their eyes on the temple. This is before they actually took back control of the temple and took back control over Jerusalem. They was on the outskirts of Jerusalem, and they was close enough to be able to see the condition of Jerusalem and the temple. All right, so this is what they saw. It says, now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens, meaning foreigners, heathen nations, any nation outside of the nation of Israel, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased. Right, there wasn't no music playing. All right, there wasn't no kids running around. All right, the temple in Jerusalem didn't have any spirit or life to it. All right, that's why it says lay void as a wilderness. The sanctuary trodden down. All right. Verse 46, it says, wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Maspha over against Jerusalem, for in Maspha was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. All right, so they was able to get close enough to be able to congregate at Maspha, which was a place where we put up a lot of prayers when we still had control over Jerusalem. All right, it says, then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes. All right, so if you know anything about our history, you know that was part of our culture. When our people was in a state of mourning, all right, we put ashes upon our heads. We wore sackcloth. All right, we rent our clothes. We fasted. All right, that's the spirit that we supposed to be in now, man. Reflecting, getting into the feast of dedication, reflecting on the history of how the feast of dedication was set up. We supposed to. It's supposed to remind us of the mind state that we supposed to be in. Because when you think about it, right? Yeah, you might have a job. You might be doing so-called good in this society. You might have your moments of pleasure, being able to smile and be happy. I mean, enjoying your kids or whatever. All right, you might have those time and moments. All right, but you gotta check yourself. You don't want to be in the spirit of happiness and mirth too much, man. Because if you are, then that means you comfortable. You comfortable in this place. You comfortable in this captivity. All right. And that ain't the spirit that you want to be in. So you gotta continually check yourself. But how do you check yourself? All right, you remember that this is not where we're from. You remember that America, or wherever you might be living at across the four corners of the earth, you remember that you're an Israelite, and whatever land that you're living in is not home. You remember that our people is not in power how we supposed to be. All right. We in captivity no matter where you are across the four corners of the earth, and we're behind enemy lines. All right. And you think, how did we get to those places? We was brought as slaves. Man. We came over here to serve a slavery term, man. We still under the curses. We still serving a slavery term. It's almost up. But we can't forget that we're still serving a slavery term, man. Because that's what 2/3 do. That's what 2/3 is doing. They about to tap into this fucking Thanksgiving spirit and shit, man. Which is bullshit. If you about to tap into this Thanksgiving spirit, man, you ain't right. You in the world. All right. If you find yourself being too happy and playful and smiling too much, you ain't in the right spirit. You gotta check yourself. You gotta remember what the fuck we came over here while we are in America, man. All right, and then that'll correct your spirit and put your spirit in the right place. That's why it's good for us to keep the righteous acts to the best of our ability by celebrating, by keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, and by celebrating our holy days. Because when you tap into the history, it reminds you of the mind state that we need to be in, man. All right, so I'm gonna jump to chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse Salakia. Bear with me for 1 second. Right. This, cause chapter 4, verse 38. Now this was when they had this was when Judas Maccabees and the rebellion that he led had made the army of what's his name? Georgius. No. Lysias. Alright. This was when Judas Maccabees had went up against had the battle with Lysias and all that was with Lysias, and Judas Maccabees in the rebellion had made even though they were smaller in number, they prayed to the Lord. The Lord was with them, and the Lord led them through a victorious battle against Lysias. All right, and made his army flee into the mountains. All right, and after that, Judas Maccabees was moving in closer to the temple. This was actually right before Judas Maccabees had took back control over the temple. All right, and it says, and when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burnt up, and shrubs growing in the courts, as in a forest or in one of the mountains, and the priest's chambers pulled down. They rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. All right, so they was in a mournful mind state, man, and that's the state, that's the mind state that we need to be in when we think, because when we think about home, when we think about everything that our people been through, we think about how we are still serving a slavery term because we went off breaking the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, not doing what we supposed to do as a nation, but instead following behind these other heathen nations, causing the Lord to put the curses on us. Part of the curses is us serving a slavery term, and us being driven away from our home. All right, and being in the captivity of our enemies instead. All right, so when we think about all these things, that should automatically put you in a mournful mind state. And also, you look at the condition of our people. Our people, it's time. Here it is, the Lord putting the spirit on our nation, giving us the opportunity to wake up and remember who we are. But 2/3 of our people rather be niggas instead. Rather still continue to do the things that got us in the situation, got us in the predicament that we are in now, man. Which is with the curses on us and our enemies ruling over us. You got 2/3 of our people about to celebrate this Thanksgiving shit, about to give thanks to our enemies for destroying our brothers, which was the Gadites, which was the so-called Native American Indians. All right, you got 2/3 of our people about to fucking celebrate that shit, man. When here it is, we in the time of Feast of Dedication. All right, so I'm gonna bring this script out. That shit's supposed to make you mad, man. You see the condition of our people, man. How we rather continue to still be niggas celebrating these fucking pagan holidays, giving thanks to our... Yo, Mattathias, he got mad as hell. He got mad as hell because... And he started killing shit. The motherfucker... when it said that the motherfucker, one of the king's men had came up trying to get Mattathias because he had some type of rank amongst Israel. He tried to get him to sacrifice into idols and consent to the king's commandment. All right, and he rebelled. He like, man, I ain't doing that shit. Me and my kids gonna die. All right, putting up a fight, keeping the laws of the Most High, not giving consent to the king's commandment, right? And then you had a fucking 2/3 of fucking house nigga, as he was putting up a rebellion, the fucking house nigga walked up and fucking start trying sacrifice unto the idols, man. He got so mad, it said he couldn't hide his anger, and he killed him and killed mad other motherfuckers. All right, and that's the same way we supposed to be feeling now, man. We supposed to be mad as hell at seeing these niggas seeing these 2/3 coon ass niggas and Uncle fucking Tomahawks preparing themselves to give thanks to our enemies for the destruction of our fucking brothers, man. Right. Matthew 24 verse 37. It says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Right. Only 2/3 of our people gonna be in this type of mind state, man. Fucking eating, worried about, cause that's all. Niggas dumb as hell. Niggas only celebrate these holidays for carnal and for to feed the lust of their flesh, man. To feed their carnal self, man. Niggas only care about eating and drinking. They don't even give a fuck about the origins of Thanksgiving. All right, and they don't care about what they tapping into. They don't care about it being pagan. They don't care about it being unlawful according to their own customs, that the Lord set up, that the Lord gave their people. All right, they don't care about that shit. All they care about is eating and drinking, having partying and bullshitting, man. That's the mind state of niggas, man. The same mind state that niggas was in before the flood actually came and wiped out everybody except for Noah and his family. All right, only the elect of us is going to be in the spirit that Noah and his family was in, which was preparing for the destruction of this world. All right. So it says, for as